Want to make
Hey,
sure
Angie, do you want to fill Bailey in on what we talked about at lunch today?
that was a long time ago.
No, no, you remember. Think back. You walked in, you graced us with some atheisms, and then you turned around and
About
walked out.
about how life is suffering and then we may go to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's life
Yeah,
is life is
yeah,
Um,
life is suffering, and then there's a 50-50 shot you're going to hell.
yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
That's
that's
yeah.
enlightening. And
this
Mary
is
Beth, I
not
think your
this is
cat's
not a
about to kill you
depressing
behind
fact to
you.
me. This
Look
is
It's
this
behind
is
just
you.
everyday.
it's just reality. I
It's
mean,
reality. It's
No,
reality.
I
yeah, well
mean,
she's
hmm?
fine. She's a black cat. She has to be in the episode.
Yeah.
Please.
Oh, my cat's locked. My
Don't ever
cat tried to
discriminate.
sneak in, and
Well,
Well,
I locked her out.
I have like 100, so they're gonna be in and out.
Cats. Well,
mhm.
Yes.
I think we
okay,
have a bylaw against that in the
I'll
HOA.
say then you're already in hell. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
okay.
Mhm.
Well, I am both hurt and sad for you on your behalf that you would think that. So
Are you
What?
hot though? Are you warm?
Me?
actually,
No,
yeah,
no,
I
no,
don't think
Mary
our
Beth.
air
No,
is
Mary Beth.
working.
No,
Yeah.
Mary
I
Beth.
mean, you
Yeah.
are in hell after all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then like your joke makes sense because hey, listen to me, it is pretty hot in the house. And
I
I don't
guess the
understand.
plus
It
side of
was like
hell is you're
178
never
when I got in.
cold. You're never cold in hell. So there you go.
Well, but
Which is a definite
It
bonus.
depends.
is hell eternal flames or is hell annihilation?
No, that's true.
Or
There.
like in the Divine Comedy, in the
Yeah.
Dante interpretation of hell, the worst, deepest, darkest part of it is ice.
Yeah.
Ice.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
true. That's true. That's
That's
the only answer.
true. Yeah.
So
There's nothing
I
like
don't know.
jumping in a cold swimming pool that gets you like feeling like, that.
Have y'all ever read any of those books about like when people die and go to heaven or die and go to hell? Not
Yes.
yeah, those are fascinating books.
Yes.
They really
Yes.
are. Yeah, there's
Near death
mhm,
experiences.
mhm.
Yes.
I read a great book about 10 years ago, maybe longer than that called it's called God the Evident. And it looks at three specific things from it's not a religious book per se. I mean it's religious, but it's from a scientific perspective. It looks at neurotheology. They put everybody of different religions, Christian,
Yeah.
Jewish, Buddhist, whatever, in an MRI machine and have them pray the prayers of their people. And every religion, when you're praying, no matter what the religion is, when you pray, the part of your brain that's altruistic lights up, and the part of your brain that selfish declines, like across the
Ooh.
board. Yeah, it's very fascinating. The
Yeah.
other one is some scientific principles about how certain mathematic formulas are found throughout the world. Certain if gravity was off by whatever percentage of whatever, the world would collapse into a black hole. And you see these formulas across all science and everything. And then one of the other ones was near death experiences and how they're
Mhm.
universal. Um, and there is a sizable percentage, I think it's 25% of documented cases, people experience going to hell.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
in fact, the study that was most fascinating to me was a study in a mercy room in Toronto where they had what they did is they placed you know how a lot of hospitals have like that back light that's kind of like a triangle. You know what I'm talking about? How the way it's shaped is like a
Yep.
triangle and it kind of goes like this. They wrote an X on the top of the light where no one could see it.
Yeah.
And they talked to people that died and then came back and asked if they remember anything. And a sizable percentage um remember seeing that X.
X. Yeah.
And there was no way they could see it. And then another fascinating thing is they did a study on prayer. This is from Duke, so it probably doesn't count.
Yeah.
No.
But they studied prayer, and what they did is they had people pray for names. They had two groups. One is they prayed for people that were having heart surgeries, and they profiled with those who did not have heart surgeries. And of course, the ones who prayed, and these were just complete strangers. They gave you a list of people you don't know them. And this group got prayed for, and the other group did not get prayed for. And the group that got prayed for did markedly better than the one who was not prayed for. And there was no connection to them. What was really fascinating is sometimes people were praying for people that had heart surgery in the past.
Mm.
And even people who were prayed for by people, like if you prayed for somebody back in the 1980, that person that we prayed for today in 1980, they would have done better in recovery than someone who was not prayed for in 1980.
Yeah.
So there's something about prayer that even
Oh,
escaped. Isn't that
Yeah.
fascinating?
That's
Yeah.
very
oh, that's
fascinating.
good.
It's
Yeah,
called
that's good.
the book's called God the Evidence. It's where I first heard of Francis Collins, who was the
Mm.
director of NIH, and who helped decode the human genome. It's a fascinating book. So anyway,
Could you repeat all of that, but this time make it funny? Like,
No.
could you
what
No.
that
could
is
you
funny.
Yeah.
could you
No.
go
No,
back
No.
no,
and
no, no,
that
no,
was
no,
really
no,
good
no.
stuff.
No, the takeaway is that people are that there's a 50-50 chance. Well, there's a 25% chance you're going to hell.
Right. Well, yes.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, I took a class at Mississippi College, and 75% of us are MC alums, called Death and Dying. And the whole semester I was spent going to various places, but they talked about near-death experiences, and they had us go visit like hospice centers that were inpatient hospice centers, and like talk to folks that were going to die within 6 months, and get all of their feedback. But yes, your consciousness, this is a scientific approach. Your consciousness does not cease to exist when your physical body dies. Now, as us religious and theological folks, we know what that means.
Yeah.
But scientifically, your conscience does not end when you're declared dead.
That's why a chicken, when you cut off its head, it's already around for like 30 minutes.
Sure, absolutely. Oh, I can tell you all the things about the guillotine and beheading and how long your head still has enough oxygen and blood. For 8 seconds after from the body, it still knows what's happening. There's that.
And I believe, don't you, when you cut off somebody's head, it can grow a new body, or is that earthworms?
That's Futurama.
Okay.
Does anybody? How much does a soul weigh? Since we're talking about that,
Isn't it 21 ounces in the Will Smith movie?
Close. You got the number right. You got the unit wrong.
Okay, pounds. Okay.
It's 21 grams.
Grams.
According to Dr. Duncan McDougall. According to Dr. Duncan McDougall from 1907, the soul weighs 21 grams.
So I don't need to lose weight according to my doctor. Eventually, I'm only going to be 21 grams.
No, your 21 grams will leave when you die and go to heaven or hell.
So if you need to lose more than 21 grams, you should probably get on that.
Well, Bailey, welcome to the cold open.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
I think that's a cold open, y'all.
It's freezing.
It's ice cold. Yeah. Hello, theologians, and welcome to Methodist to the Madness, a show about the wacky, weird, wild, and cool stuff that's happened throughout church history. I'm a witch who was burned at the stake in 1692 and vowed vengeance in another lifetime. Mary Beth.
I think I'm supposed to be funny now, but I don't really get into Halloween, so I'm Andy, the lead pastor.
I'm Brian, and yes, I am a grave robber.
I'm Bailey, and as evidenced by my haircut, I'm a 12-year-old in a grown man's body.
Yeah. Woo! Yeah, we made it, gang. 10th episode, and it's our phenomenal, big, excellent, grand, spectacular Halloween special. First ever Halloween special. How do we feel?
First and only?
No.
I feel like first of many.
Brother Andrew.
First of many.
First of many. And we have Bailey here to celebrate with us, which is very exciting. Bailey, we're thrilled, delighted, rapturous.
Happy to be here.
Excited for your wisdom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do y'all actually okay, no, you're excited, you're ready. Do any of y'all actually celebrate Halloween?
Yes.
What do you mean by celebrate?
Yeah.
You do?
Like, what do you mean by celebrate?
Like do you do anything?
I put out candy.
Do you do anything?
I put out candy and go to bed early.
I take my kids trick-or-treating. That's what we do. We trick-or-treat.
I don't even do that.
No.
I usually put a sign on my door to dissuade children.
Don't talk to me like I'm crazy.
Yeah. What?
Well, with the sign,
Brian talking to me like I'm a nut.
Yeah, well, no, I trick or treat my kids. Yes, I actually, there's a couple of us in the neighborhood, and I ride shotgun in the truck with everybody else in the back of the truck, the moms and the kids, and they are the ones that we just go up, stop, they go out, trick or treat, put them back in, we go, and we just go down that way. So I ride shotgun in the truck for Halloween. And then we come back to our house where we do a little party on the lawn, and we eat chili and food and whatever else, and that's what we do. We do actually do stuff for Halloween. Now, if you don't, later in the evening, tricks may be had. Who knows?
Oh, my.
I was thinking about toothpaste and toothbrushes this year. It's the best way to keep the kids from ringing my doorbell a bunch.
You know, one of my very best friends, groomsmen in the wedding, his dad was one of the main dentists in Madison when Madison wasn't very big. And he handed out intentionally sticky, gummy candy because it's good for his business. Cavities,
Yeah.
Halloween. He's got to get his Christmas money, so he gives everybody sticky, gummy stuff.
And you know what? Land Rovers are not cheap, so
no, they're not.
He needs
or the Bentleys, or whatever else he had in his garage. Yeah.
I go to bed early. I put in a cauldron of candy, and I one per, and I go to bed early. So thankfully, we don't have a lot of kids through here, so it's usually I get to eat the extra candy, so it's a win for me.
So, Mary Beth, you hadn't told us, what do you do to celebrate Halloween?
I think she's frozen again.
Yeah, I think so.
Or she's deep in thought, one or the other.
She's blinked in a long time.
She's officially frozen.
Yep.
Okay, then. Oh. And I don't know if she's going to come back. I'm going to send her a text. Let's see.
Looks very ponderous.
It does. It's one of those things, like if you want to step out of a Zoom meeting but look like you're engaged, that's the image you want. Oh, she's coming back.
Is she back?
I'm gonna throw my computer out the window. I was gonna say something more dramatic, but we're not allowed to cuss on the Godcast, so like I don't know what's happening. But
to remove, you have a really good, like, intentional, like, I'm listening picture.
Yeah.
I want to remove that one.
I would make that my profile pic, like, for
absolutely,
like class.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. Maybe
you should have picked the cemetery like I did.
Well, I don't know how to do fancy stuff like that. I'm clearly not very good with technology. So that's where we're at. What did I miss?
A lot. We basically closed the podcast.
We're finished.
It's done.
So it's done. We've covered everything there is to cover.
Okay, tell me what the topic is, please. Tell me.
We were talking about how we celebrate Halloween, which is what the prompt you gave us. So
So how do you celebrate Halloween?
I don't.
That's false. That's 100% false.
How do you feel about
you're a giant? You're a Halloweener. I could feel it.
I'm not a Halloweener at all. Actually, I grew up with Halloweeners, but that's not me. I do nothing, and it's glorious. I haven't even bought candy, to be honest. I'm not necessarily a Scrooge, but I'm borderline, I think.
That's great. Oh, bah humbug! I love.
Oh, I'm for it. I agree. I'm pro Scroogery.
Yeah.
I cashed in all of my Halloween currency years ago when I went as pop star Kesha for Halloween, which Mary Beth has seen photographs of that. I dare not share them here, but
I wish I did.
That was enough Halloween. That was enough Halloween gumption to last a lifetime.
I think you single-handedly won Halloween with those pictures.
Actually, I was motivated to do that because she hosted a contest on her Twitter for people to dress up like her for Halloween, and whoever won got a box of random junk off her floor. And not only did I not win, I wasn't even recognized. My feelings were genuinely hurt.
But you wore Daisy Dukes.
And fishnets.
What? That was involved? We've got photos.
Yeah. I'll show you sometime. I got them. It's fine. I'll show you.
Wow. Excellent. Okay. Well, that's enough of that. I am disappointed that you're not dressed as Kesha for this episode, but that's okay.
Had I had more time, I actually did have a costume idea, but it didn't pan out.
Well, I'm disappointed, but that's okay. I forgive you. Guys, I had initially told you that we were going to talk about the cadaver synod, which we will get to eventually, but I found something even better to talk about, and it's vampire nuns. So we're about to dive into...
This sounds like the plot of a trauma film. I don't know if...
I'm so excited. We're gonna dive into the misty, murky streets of New Orleans and kind of explore the idea of something called a casket girl, also known as a pelican girl. Is anyone familiar? Have y'all heard of this before?
Did you know there's a shampoo that's called Mardi Gras flavored or Mardi Gras scented? Can you imagine?
It's not a shampoo. It's a body wash, and it smells like Jack Daniels and sewer water.
Why would you want to smell like that? No.
You've never been to New Orleans, the only thing I can think of.
No, you don't want to smell like that.
I'm just telling you, that's what it smells like. Okay, so casket girls, also known as casket girls, we have to go back to before the Louisiana Purchase. So that's sometime history. Brian, correct me. 17th century.
Yes, that will be definitely before the Louisiana Purchase, before Napoleon needed money. Yep.
Yep. So we okay. Let me think of where I want to go with this because there's so many directions. Okay, casket girls. I'm going to do a brief history, then we're going to do a deep dive of the history, and then we're going to really get into the fun part. Okay, so what exactly are casket girls? The name kind of conjures up this very macabre, vampiric idea, right? But the reality is that we as dumb Americans just don't know French, okay? And so they were actually cassette, which is trunk suitcase girls that Americans thought the French were saying casket girls, and that's why we call them that. And they came here essentially to get husbands. So when the French were establishing their colony in Louisiana, they had a lot of men here, not a lot of women, and so they sent for French girls specifically to continue and strengthen French lines, right? So this was in the early to mid 17th century, and you had women not just getting sent to Louisiana, but also to Canada and Biloxi, which is really cool. And at the time, it was called New France. Okay, so there was also rumor that the women that they were sending for the men were former prostitutes.
That's what I was just Googling. I knew that.
You knew that? You're so smart. Yeah. So they were like former prostitutes, and or they had been in mental institutions. Sometimes they were prostitutes that were admitted to mental institutions, and they said, hey, we're going to send this to the colonists out in the New France because we don't want them here. So we had the first.
So basically, New Orleans was their Australia.
Yes. Yes, very good.
A lot of America was the Australia until we rebelled. Go Patriots. Here we go.
Very good. So the first batch that was sent to New Orleans specifically was back in 1720. And they came over on a absolutely, of course, say it with me, prison ship. Yay! Because we did that with all of our colonies. And there's a person named Jean de Jean, which is excellent, wrote a book called Mutinous Women. And they theorized that many of the women were falsely accused for the crimes that they committed, but they were either mental patients or prostitutes. And again, it's just
this sounds a lot like Les Mis.
Isn't it good? But this is real, maybe, repeatedly. Maybe.
Isn't Les Mis real?
Yeah, we don't have time to get into that, but yes. So obviously during their crossing, they weren't super well taken care of, right? I mean, like, who's going to care for a bunch of imprisoned women? And they came into Louisiana and they got off the boat and they had bloodshot eyes. They were railing bones. And from the get-go, Americans are suspicious. And they started saying stuff like, these girls don't look real. They don't look like something's wrong with them. Okay. So there was already this kind of lead up into not necessarily illness, but like something's not right. All right. So we already had the pump kind of primed for supernatural spectral intervention. So question so far? We're good. We're rocking. Okay. We had at this time as well in Paris, correction girls. All right. So again, this is all context. We have correction girls that were they were used to kind of motivate people to get out of prison systems. From what I can understand, it's like if you like reform your ways, you can get a wife when you come out kind of situation, which I think is very French. And we had those women were also sent over to their colonies with their deader husbands. So all that to say, we had these women, nefarious potentially backgrounds coming in, and they get to the new Louisiana, New France, Canada, whatever. And some of them have been recruited not just to be wives, but to serve new churches. All right. So we have nunneries and monasteries. Yes.
The first fresh expressions.
Absolutely. Church plants. Right. Mm-hmm. And typically it was either going to be an orphanage or a convent. And they had to come over there, but the girls that were recruited for that had to be guaranteed virgins. I don't know how they verified that.
Yeah, what's the vetting process?
I don't know.
You probably do know, and it's not nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not good, right?
Yeah.
Well, but okay, but that's a common thing in church history. Like there was a You need to Google this one. Be a good episode. There was a pope in the medieval period who was believed to have been female, and so I was taught this in church history. So this is a long time ago. That one of the last things that happens before a pope is poped is they make sure that it's that they're
Anatomy
male.
check.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And so like there's a large cat crawling across the screen.
There's a cat.
Yeah. But so it would be very much in character to in church history to check these things out, I reckon. So
So, yeah, so it's just we had all okay, I can't do this with you. You're way too heavy. Okay. We had all of these women coming from different backgrounds, different things.
by the
I
way,
don't know if they're-
those who are listening to the audio, Mary Beth's talking to her cat right now.
She wasn't talking about me.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody's watching the video. Just want to give context to who you're not doing
Okay.
this with. So.
All right. So and I will say this is just fun Mississippi trivia. We had casket girls here way before 10 years before they landed in New Orleans. And it was a source of pride for Mississippians specifically to be a descendant of a casket girl. Like that was like a thing that I mean, we really value family trees, but people really, really like love that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Isn't that interesting? So now let's get into the fun stuff. Okay. A lot of what we know about casket girls is legend. All right. And obviously, this is a church history podcast. So we're going to look at the more nun route. But it's hard to nail down facts because they caused such a big, not a stink necessarily, but they were a big deal at the time. And so there's so much, we can't separate fact from lore. Okay. And so it's one of those situations. So that's my one caveat. Y'all know that I'm the Wikipedia of history. I don't really do deep dive.
You don't really care about facts to begin with. So
Right.
Yeah, we're just here for a good time. So, okay. Ironically, they're called casket girls because of their suitcases. And a lot of them came with like 0 suitcases. And if they did, they were very small, which I think is hilarious. However, over time, the stories, I told you they had like bloodshot eyes. They looked really ill. They didn't look bright. Over time, throughout the city of New Orleans, a rumor started that these women were carrying in their suitcases chopped up bodies. Okay.
I like that. That's nice.
Right off the bat, things are not going great. Okay. So we have here these sinful women, and there have been some of them, we know half of them, the virgins, are recruited to the nunneries, half of them recruited to be wives, but there's an overflow of women. There's not enough men. So what happens to that overflow of sinful women, the ones that are sketchy and prostitutes? Well, they have nowhere to go except the convent, right? And so they are the nuns and the good girls are going to try to convert these bad women and make them virtuous women. That's like the big word. It's like we're trying to recover their virtue. And so
I like this idea of a convent as just like a depository for excess women.
Is that not what they were historically?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But the way it's framed here is you've got some extra women. We'll store them there.
Yeah.
We will put them here.
And there they are. And if we need them for something later, they're there.
I mean,
we know where they are. We go get them.
Not to go completely musical, but isn't that the plot of The Sound of Music?
What's gotten into you? Like, are you,
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, who are you talking to?
you? What's
What?
gotten into you tonight? Are you very like, I don't know, theatrical state of
I'm
mind?
just
What's
saying.
happening?
I mean, I'm thinking of nuns trying to run away from Nazis or whatever, and that's The Sound of Music.
So anyway, these nuns take charge of the women, and they are living with the nuns until kind of Bailey's actually right. Like until they can get foisted off throughout the colony and shipped around, they're just kind of kicking it with the nuns. So we are looking specifically at a particular convent, and I'm going to butcher. There's several for the record that took in these women, but the one that I want us to look at is the Ursuline sisters. So the Ursulines, or the Order of Saint Ursula, founded a school immediately after they got to New Orleans in 1727, and many, not all, but most of the casket girls and women attended there and lived there until they were married. And so the city built the order's first convent in 1734, but the school existed before that. And so it had a little bit of a reputation already. And the old Ursuline convent is the oldest building in the Mississippi Valley. All right. So it's like still there. It's a big deal. It survived a fire in like 1788 or something. And it is kind of closer to Canal Street, I think, if that's right. But anyway, it was close to the Fort of St. Charles. I don't know how familiar y'all are with New Orleans. And it's kind of down river of St. Charles. So it's a staple of the city. It's been around for a long time. And the Order of St. Ursula is still doing school, and they take care of women even today. And I want to go on record and say that they deny having any affiliation with what we're about to talk about. Like, they say that that's not real.
Are we slandering these saints right now?
No, we're not slandering.
Okay.
We're not slandering.
What was Saint Ursula the saint of? Was she a patron saint or something? So we know what's fixing to like give
Didn't
us some
she
bad
steal
juju.
that young girl's voice one time?
She did.
Well,
I think she's a patron saint of the
she
voiceless.
traded. No. It was transactional. She traded legs for a voice.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
And she was a
All right.
martyr. I'm Googling her right now. She was a martyr. Romano Bridget, she was British.
And now that's interesting that she's British
Yeah.
and French.
It is, yeah.
Right.
That's true.
But her major shrine is in Cologne. So,
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
Okay, y'all done?
Pursuing knowledge? Never.
Yeah. Hey, Bailey, spook when you're spooking too, okay? Like, you're a guest here, so you don't really know how we do things.
Have you ever met me before?
Yeah. Okay.
He's really sinking his teeth into this
Yeah,
podcast.
he's really-
Well, speaking of creepy stuff, the Basilica of Saint Ursula has her ribs, shoulder blades, and femurs arranged in zigzags and swirls, even the shapes of Latin words. That's pretty
Well,
cool.
where'd the rest of her go?
That's pretty cool. So, if y'all want to
That's
take
another
my
episode.
if y'all want to take my bones and spell something cool when I die, that's fine.
Is that an instruction or
No,
just
not really. I'm just saying. I mean,
It's just an option.
it's just an option? Okay. Well.
Okay. So, all right. So, one of the things that we didn't talk about was how, because keeping in mind, for these vampiric women that are in the convent and the nuns that were supposedly also vampires and training them how to be vampires, preview, that's what we're heading towards. One of the characteristics of the women that were going to the Ursuline convent was that they had, this is so funny to me, had an unnatural redness in the sun. Like, they would blister in the sun. And people said, yo, vampire.
Vampire.
And if that's the only requirement to be a vampire, then sign me up. Like, I'm there, right? Like, 'cause I cannot be in the sun for long. I get sunburned. But these cats were looking at, the men in particular, they were like, oh, bloodshot eyes, sunburn? Something supernatural is occurring. And so it just kind of stinks that sometimes these were like, even the good women, like they were coming because they had answered an ad or something maybe, and they wanted to come to the New World or whatever, and they were being consigned to a convent because they just got sunburned. So we're living in very supernaturally, very like what's the word, superstitious time periods, right? So we have people looking for husbands or looking for a better life, and they weren't allowed to bring a lot with them. So they're completely starting over. They have no family, and they show up, and the nuns are taking them up to the 3rd floor of the convent. So that's relevant because you can still go there and do ghost tours today. It's a huge thing. You go to the floor. Yes, we should have done that.
Yeah.
So this organization is quick to distance themselves from this practice, except for where they can make money by selling tickets to the 3rd floor.
It's America. It's America.
That's the
baby.
most American thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
All right.
Not real, but come and look at what happened here.
Yeah, it didn't happen, but
Yeah.
3rd floor, $10.
For $9.99, you can
Yeah,
get a ticket and come check out the 3rd floor.
So, and what's crazy about the 3rd floor is it's always been sealed off. The windows are shuttered, and it's quite a shock. They would take the women up there and would make them put all the possessions in the 3rd floor. So the very little that they brought with them, they were having to throw into like basically an entire floor of storage, right? and it's dark and it's grimy and it's gritty. And they would they started having more of these casket girls coming in, and then slowly over time the nuns would be going up there. It's creepy. They don't want to be up there. They don't want to be taking stuff. And they would have a tendency to open the women's suitcases and like put their belongings throughout the room. And over time, nuns started realizing that these suitcases were empty, which is almost a little bit creepier to me than like skank bones just knocking around in there. I don't know how I feel about that. And so eventually it got to the point where items in the storage room itself started to disappear. So like items that had already once been there are now disappearing. As more women start coming and I don't know, years are going by, items are disappearing until eventually there's just nothing left, supposedly. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, right? And so the nuns start to fear that something supernatural is afoot, right? And so they go out of their way to ensure that nothing and no one can enter or exit from the third floor, because they're like, okay, clearly we have a sneak thief going on of the demonic variety. We have to shut down this floor. Now, some stories will tell you that the shutters that they put up and the nails that they put in the door were blessed by Pope John II, because he was the first pontiff to visit New Orleans. That's not relevant. So one might assume, however, that these nails were brought to Rome to be blessed, and then they were sent back, and there was this whole like very Catholic process to ensure that nothing crazy is going on and things are not going missing. However, without all of these supernaturally kind of things or whatever, we still see that things have gone missing over time. And so it's like, we don't know if they actually managed to prevent it. That's the long way of saying that. So what happened is that stuff starts going missing, and then some of the nuns start questioning each other. And long story short, there's a nun who, and we don't know her name, unfortunately, but one of the nuns leaves the convent one night and she's like, stuff's gone missing. We've had some women go missing. Things are not adding up. It was just like girls would start disappearing a little bit one at a time. And so she runs to what would have been effectively like the mayor of New Orleans at the time. And she's like, we have a problem. Women and items are going missing throughout the convent. It's just weird. We've got these women that are like sunburned, they're red, unnaturally paralyzed, they're freaky and all that. And mayor comes back, starts to do an investigation. Long story short, underneath the convent is a secret vampiric order. All right, where they're doing
fun.
Vampire like rituals, and
Who's they?
Some of the nuns and the girls.
Oh, okay. Are these the depraved women, or are these the regular?
These are well, it's just anyone who's not been married off, and I guess it could have been some of the good girls that are getting also, thrown in there. Like they're just attracted to the idea of power, maybe. And so all of a sudden New Orleans gets blown up with, we have a vampire problem.
When is this?
This is in the 1720s, 1700s.
Okay, this is back. Okay, originally. Okay, so we're
yeah. So we have all of a sudden panic, right? And there's all of these rumors circulating on the women are going to come out and start sucking us dry. And there's so many different versions of like what vampire rituals consist of. But if you had to guess, what would you think a vampire ritual would involve?
Drinking blood.
Oh my, yes. Correct. So there's all of these people they start disappearing. And then, of course, when people disappear, you have to have a hero. You have to have folks coming to look for them. And so we have all of these eyewitnesses that are like breaking into the secret underground Ursuline convent for vampire nuns. And they're breaking in there and they're saying, oh, and the blood oozed from the walls. And they had bright red glowing eyes and superhuman strength. And they would tie people down and they would just go to town on their necks, these poor French women. But my favorite part is that some of the eyewitness accounts claim that the women were doing it while wearing their habits, which is just, for me, very good and funny. Isn't that what they call it?
It's a habit. Yeah.
It's a habit.
Isn't this like a recent movie?
Twilight?
Yeah.
Also, Meredith, have you never seen Sister Act?
I've never seen Sister Act. No.
Okay, well, the sequel to Sister Act is called Sister Act 2: Back in the Habit. So that should tell you. That tells you what you need to know. Also, I am not so sure why all these French people were that upset with the concept of drinking blood. Consumption of blood is not unknown in French cuisine. Blood sausage, very French, very tasty. Highly recommend.
No.
Wait, what?
I'm telling you, man,
say?
it's delicious.
Really?
As Louis
Because the use
Gazard,
of-
as Louis Gazard said, there's some things the good Lord gave us more sense than to eat.
Well, he did give me that. He did give me that good sense.
I ain't
I ate a
eating that.
raccoon last week.
Only blood. Only blood. I'm
did.
consuming the Eucharist. That's it.
No, wait.
Yeah.
Tell them about your raccoon experience.
Yeah, I did not know about this.
Oh yeah, I had my boss had a raccoon problem, so he got one and he killed it, and I ate it. It was pretty good. I made soup out of
I'd
it.
eat it too.
I made like a stew.
So when Holly was working at a facility in Union, Mississippi, they had a wild game soup every year, and they would have
Yeah.
all manner of varmints.
Yeah.
I don't think we ever had raccoon. I think we had possum, maybe.
He's pretty good. It was
Yeah.
not bad. I'd eat him again. I'd do it again. It was good.
What kind of stew? What did you put in the soup?
Carrots and onions
Okay, so just regular.
and celery and
I
chicken
assume it
stock and some
tastes
sweet
like-
potatoes.
Kind
Actually,
of gamey, I guess.
not really. Actually, surprisingly, no. It was actually quite mild, slightly
Okay.
sweet.
Oh, really? Okay. I've never had
It was good.
raccoon.
Yeah, he was good. It was good.
Squirrel.
I'm gonna get him. Give me another one. I'm gonna barbecue him.
Okay, we're back.
I'm back. But I was saying you could do the raccoon like this. They do the monkeys in the Mandalorian with a little spit.
Yeah, I could do that. My grill. I could probably put a spit on my grill.
Mhm.
That's a good idea. I like that. That's a good
Yeah.
thought.
Okay, that was a good.
Baste
that was a
him.
good-
You
that was a
baste
good
him
ra-
along the way.
a good raccoon conversation.
Yeah.
You missed the part where he talked about pulling buckshot or whatever out
No,
of
it
his
was
mouth.
birdshot. No, it was
Birdshot, excuse me.
Yeah.
Because
Ball shot him with a
Anyway.
shotgun and
Oh,
Got
really?
it.
Yeah, I was wondering because I thought you had to use like a 22 or something because, it's
see,
gonna
that's what
be.
I would have done, right?
Yeah.
A 22 would have
Yeah.
been
A lot
plenty
cleaner.
sufficient.
Yeah.
And then,
Buckshot's
but
messy.
you know what? Beggars can't be choosers.
Mm.
He even cleaned it for me, which was nice.
That's a sign of a true friend.
Yeah, it's a good guy. Good guy.
Mary Beth, if I kill a raccoon for you, I will clean it.
He did
Thank
tell
you.
me subsequent raccoons I will be responsible for cleaning, which is fine.
That's
I
only
can
fair. That's
absolutely
only
do
fair.
that.
That's only
But
fair.
it's reasonable. I think it's reasonable.
Wait. Andy, do you consider me a friend?
No,
Oh, okay.
I just figured that would be a funny joke.
Okay.
You did
Well,
a
it
lot of
wasn't.
little
It just
jokes.
ended up being hurtful.
I was going for a cheap laugh.
Okay. Do better, because now I just want to I don't know, to talk to my therapist. Here's the thing, gang. Because there's just so much myth and there's so much legend, we're not going to dwell a whole lot on the rumors. What we are going to talk about, though, is how essentially this convent and the nuns, despite the good that they were doing in their community, start to be viewed as mistresses of vampire prostitutes, or kind of what's happening. And they're treated with general suspicion. So I told you that there was suspicions about the women themselves. Now the convent is experiencing suspicions. So fast forward, we're going to jump to 1978.
Wow.
We have two
Jump.
parent.
I was the only person. I was the only person in this call who was alive then.
Yeah, we know you're ancient. So we're going to jump forward then.
And living in New Orleans for a season back then.
Well, this is fun then.
Mhm.
Okay, so
All
you
back
might
home.
know this. And we have two paranormal investigators who wanted to prove that there were in fact vampires at the convent. And so they had been kicked off of the property for loitering, obviously. But they decided that they were going to stay the night to see if they experienced anything kind of paranormal outside of the
This
convent.
sounds like Ghost Adventures, the greatest TV show ever.
It
Of
does sound
all
like Ghost
time.
Adventures.
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah.
Zach is awesome. I love Zach so much.
Zach is a menace to society, and
No,
I will stand on that. I'll
Zach
stand
is
on
the
that.
best.
I hope he one day hears this and he knows
I
that
do too. All I want in my life is to meet Zach somehow. If I could meet Zach, I'm done, y'all. I'm hanging it up.
Hey, this Godcast is your vessel. Here we
No,
go.
it's not. We're not.
Now
We're not
you will get to meet
I don't know what I would do if I met Zach. It'd be too much for me.
So my favorite part, this is going to be very funny and very good because Andy's going to love this. They were asleep And so they missed this, but they know it happened. But they were asleep, so
go.
they didn't see it, but they know it.
Of course they did. They know it happened. Yeah.
They
Feel
said that because remember they're sleeping on the sidewalk, 1978. Okay, they
Oh,
said
they're just out on the sidewalk, just like regular New Orleans.
they were writing.
Yeah,
They were
I mean-
they're sleeping on the sidewalk in New Orleans. They're journaling their experiences, and they're asleep. At some point, one of them must have woken up in the night and somehow knew that the shutters that I had told you had been blessed, maybe by the Pope at the time, and then nailed shut, had been swinging open and closed. Okay, and
They
so
were awoken by the banging of the shutters. That's how they knew.
You're right. You're right. And so they had recording cameras up as well, and so like some people said that they got it on camera swinging open and shut. I didn't
This
see
is
that video.
78. No, I'm doubting that. No,
Right.
that's
I don't
way-
know if I buy it.
Did they visit Bourbon Street before they fell asleep on the sidewalk? 'Cause that's a common thing, is to
I don't
pass
know,
out on
but
the sidewalk.
I can tell you, they didn't visit Bourbon Street afterwards. You want to know why?
Vampires?
They died.
They died.
Their bodies had been torn open, end quote.
That's exciting. Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, do we see the
Okay.
journal? That's how we know that because they're goners?
Yeah, they're ravaged as if by claws from an animal. Their bodies completely drained of blood.
Oh my.
Hey-oh!
Yeah. Wait,
That's awesome.
is there like a news article to corroborate this? Or
Well,
something?
there are articles to
We're not
corroborate it.
really Bailey.
I hope not. Is what I'm
we're
getting at
not
here.
really in the collaboration business. That's not
No,
what we're
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
fact check anything.
I
Yeah,
was gonna say I
yeah.
hope not because I
No,
want
that's-
to
no.
believe
Never let the
Yeah.
truth get away with a good story.
that.
Yeah,
Correct.
hey, play with us in this space, Bailey. Okay, that's all we're asking. Okay.
Okay.
So since then, the tours have increased dramatically to the
Shocking.
okay, because everyone is secretly hoping to get gored in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
But so that is kind of that incident of the two paranormal investigators, is what led to people really getting into starting in 1978, like that resurgence of vampire and that interest in vampire kind of legend and stories and that kind of thing. Now, when I was young, the big vampire thing was, as you all know, Twilight. Huge thing.
I'm so old.
You were.
You
Andy,
gave
Andy,
me a
I'm gonna frame
dig.
that. I'm gonna frame that differently, Andy.
I'm feeling myself disintegrate in front of us right now.
Yeah.
When you,
No,
when you
I
were
think
young, when you were young, Twilight was it.
You should
Oh,
reframe
good
this
heavens.
as Mary Beth is a child.
No.
Just a wee little
Well,
baby.
that's true, but
Just a tiny wee baby.
What was y'all's vampire craze? Every generation has one.
What was that movie with Brad Pitt and
Interview
little
with a
tiny baby?
Vampire?
Yeah.
Interview with the Vampire. That was the big one.
How long was it going to take before we brought Anne Rice into this? And so here it is. Yeah, Interview with the Vampire.
A New Orleans native, by the way, I believe, Anne Rice.
Yeah, exactly. New Orleans native
Mhm.
who writes books about vampires had to be inspired by this situation, right? Surely.
Right.
So I lived through the actual satanic panic of the 80s.
Oh yeah, where like Dungeons and Dragons was sending you
Oh.
to like worship the devil
Yeah,
and like backmask. Everyone's freaked out about backmasking.
A Kiss, Night in Satan's Service.
Yeah, Night and 10 service.
AC/DC, Antichrist, Devil's Children.
And all those like supposed what do they call them like daycares that were like doing satanic rituals with the kids in the basement.
There was
kind of thing.
apparently a note of people's names passed around at school one time. They were going to be sacrificed at the gravel pit outside of town.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my grand.
Let's bring that back.
I thought to say, why can't we bring some of that excitement back
Satanic
into
Panic?
the 2020s?
Well,
because of the satanic panic, I don't have literally tens of thousands of dollars worth of early Magic the Gathering cards because my mother remembered that and refused to let me play Magic in the 4th grade when the cards from then
Thanks a
now
lot,
would go
Mom.
for many dollars.
But think of okay. So we talked about the tour, but think about how many 80s hair metal bands, you young ones don't know what 80s hair metal is.
Thank God.
Played footsie with satanic images though.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Kiss.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, and so this goes back to our theme here that lean into the weird. In fact, I was listening to a podcast. They talk about this. The Holy Post has an offshoot podcast on this. How all your horror movies deal with something supernatural, usually most of them, And there's something in us that knows, there's something underneath the surface. Like what our eyes perceive, what we see here now, there's something in us, even if it's expressed weirdly through horror stuff. We know there's our souls are longing, our hearts are longing, even if it's just for endorphins, something mystical, something deeper, something weird. And so
That's fascinating too,
yeah,
because
yeah.
Go ahead.
So I think this goes back to what we start off with the cold open about, how our brains, our souls are wired for this. I think the fascination with the spooky and the supernatural and the witches and the vampires and all this is something deep in our spiritual DNA that knows that there's something supernatural here. There's something more than we understand. So the enlightenment mindset of rationality doesn't speak to the ache of the human soul for transcendence.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And so there's something. So even if it's expressed through weird things like vampires or whatever, but think about how everybody has their vampire story. Every generation has a supernatural thing that fascinates them.
And these things are archetypal too, right?
Mhm.
Like the
Totally.
idea of a vampire transcends a lot more than just New Orleans and,
Yeah.
pre-Louisiana Purchase.
That's right.
Every culture has some variety of the blood-sucking,
Totally.
That's what I was
night-dwelling,
gonna say.
spooky thing.
Yes.
And so our best friend C.S. Lewis has this great chapter section. I think it's the weight of glory. We talked about how Jesus Christ is myth that is fact. That every culture
Yeah, I like that.
has to it the myth of the individual person who, for the good of the greater community, gives up themselves to save the community. I mean,
the hero's
listen,
journey, right?
Oh, well, Batman, in The Dark Knight. I mean, but it's a common myth across every culture, every narrative, every story. There's a myth of something that sacrifices themselves for the good of others. And Lewis's thing is that Jesus Christ is the incarnation or the embodiment of that myth. He is the myth. And so every story of sacrifice in that way is a telling of the Jesus story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so he is myth that is fact. I think our stories, our fascinations lean into that primordial ache of the soul for something deeper that frankly our modern world cannot satisfy. I really believe that.
I'm just ready for the city of Madison to realize that sacrifice at night fighting the criminals.
Yeah,
Yep.
There you go. That's exactly right.
I like the idea of our mythology pointing to a desire within us, but especially because things like vampire mythology has been around since ancient
As David
times.
said, forever. I mean, I don't
like
know.
Since the ancient Egyptians, though, y'all. Like there was a Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, and slaughtered the peoples of the Jewel Kingdom so brutally that her rage turned the Nile into blood so that she could drink it. There are versions of vampires throughout many different cultures. Greeks, Romans had it. Medieval Christianity was rife with vampire fear, was rife with this fear of demonic presence that we can't address on our own. But I think that is not just the fear points to a desire to know what we can't know.
That's right. And Augustine said evil is simply corrupted goodness. And so I think a couple things filtering from there. One is that part of it is this desire to know what we can't know, the transcendent we talk about. And I think that plays itself out in a lot of ways. But I think it also, think about how often the vampire stories becomes a way to other someone else. Like they are the problem. They're the problem. And so
it plays out in our casket girl, cassette girl
sure.
story, right? I mean,
these are these unvirtuous women that we got from France.
Well, you can see how Rome used that against early Christians.
That's right. That's exactly
when
right.
we were drinking the blood of Jesus Christ.
That's right. We were cannibals. Exactly.
And so obviously that points to another example of when drinking blood and all that was something that society used against a group of people.
Mhm.
Right. Well, and there's the notion that there's something revolting, like, okay, like your Bailey's blood sausage. No, thank you. No, there's something for someone's like, that's revolting. That gag, that ick factor that we don't want. And so yeah, it's interesting that it does kind of, like I said, Brian, kind of go back to that accusation sometimes, so the grossness of it sometimes.
And I think it's especially like I've never thought about it until now, but like vampires represent versions of Antichrist in the sense of like
Totally.
Christ's blood is shed so that we
Totally.
can live. They take
Totally.
blood to survive,
That's
right?
right.
Like
That's right. Well,
Christ is light. They can't be in the light,
and
right?
so
Like
the
it's
the cross and the mythology, harms them, scares them. Exactly. The vampire is the Antichrist. It's a consumer of life.
Mhm.
Christ is a giver of life. Yeah.
Yeah.
The if you will, if Aslan is a stand-in for Christ in that story, then the vampire is the stand-in for the Antichrist in that mythology. Yeah. And because they're often seen as pure evil,
And the only way to get rid of a vampire is Christian symbols, right? Like
right,
the
cross.
crucifix and
A wooden
garlic,
stake.
garlic. So Cool
Garlic.
Ranch Doritos may be the thing. To
Yeah,
have.
but and hang on, garlic. No,
Yeah.
we're in Louisiana cooking. The three basic components of basically every dish are called the Trinity. They're onion, bell pepper, and celery. Garlic is also added to the Trinity and is called the Pope. So garlic is a holy symbol too.
all
Yeah.
making sense.
The Pope repels the evil.
Yeah, that's so good.
I like
That's
that.
good. I wish that our modern demons could be cast away so easily.
with
Like,
garlic, yeah.
Like the modern things that vie for our attention or like drain the life out of us. I wish that we could get rid of that. I mean, there's a very millennial, it's really a Gen Z thing at this point, term that's like energy vampires.
Have
you read
watched?
that?
Yeah. Well, have you ever watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
So my funny reels that I watch of people like doing stupid stuff and injuring themselves, is that an energy vampire thing?
No, energy vampires are people that just suck the life out of the room that they're in, and they just like. And sometimes we can do it. I mean, when you're having a bad day, it's just this. I don't know. It's just this idea that like, the modern world is draining, and we become drained and succumb to it, and then we suck the life and joy out of other. Like Andy.
Yeah, like me. I'm gonna 100% just like me. Exactly. Yeah.
Just like what he said at lunch. Life sucks.
Life is suffering.
Hey, by the way, life sucks, and you're all going to hell.
No.
Lisa said when you go to
That
hell.
brings cheer to the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a light. What a positive man you are, brother
Listen,
Andrew.
I'm just speaking realism to the
Realism.
crowd here.
Look, we growing up in my house. Every time we complained about, I had a bad day, blah blah blah, my dad always said, "You know what, son? Life sucks, and then you die. Get used to it."
Exactly, 100%. That is a great statement to live by.
Yeah.
All right, just go ahead and if you accept it, then if you have a little bit of joy, look at that. Isn't that great?
Exactly. If you can accept that,
Right.
then it's a huge weight lifted. When that is just when you just know that, then it's great.
I bet you like
Life
to read.
sucks and then you die.
You like to read Kierkegaard, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay
Yeah. I
with me.
figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going in a very Kierkegaardian direction right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very Kierkegaardian.
Hmm.
One of my favorite Twitter accounts is called Kim Kierkegaardian, where somebody tweets Kim Kardashian quotes in the language of Soren Kierkegaard.
That's very good.
It's wonderful.
Delightful. Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's very good. Very
We
good.
should do a podcast on Kierkegaard one day.
And we will.
It'd be great. Kierkegaard
If you let us get there. Yeah. If we can push past episode 10, yeah, we'll do it. Yeah.
Our three followers are demanding an hour-long conversation about the Danish philosopher Soren Kierkegaard.
Yes.
Really.
Okay. our 6 followers will delight in that episode when it comes out, just like they've surely delighted in this one. I'm
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the 4 of us here,
That's
4
right.
of our
That's-
followers are right here, and we
that's-
would,
Here they
Well,
are.
I
Here
we're
we are.
very interested in this. So
I don't know
listen-
about y'all, but I do not listen to this
Yeah,
show.
I don't listen
and
to
I
podcasts.
forget what comes out. The moment I speak it, it no longer exists in my brain. I'll have people come up to me and make reference to episodes, and I'm like, how do you know that information about me? How do you know that personal anecdote? And then they're like, from the Godcast. And I'm like, oh, got it.
hey, Mary Beth, what has 10 feet 9 hands and rocks?
So I'm sure you'll tell me.
Yeah, it's Def Leppard.
Ah, nice. Yeah. There you go.
See, Mary Beth, what you don't know is that the drummer for Def Leppard is missing an arm.
That's right. He is. He has one arm.
He has one
Yeah.
arm.
Wait.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, he has one arm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a car accident?
It was a car wreck. Yeah, he was in
Yeah,
a
I
car
thought so.
accident.
Yeah. For real.
Well, now we have to do a Def Leppard episode.
Okay. I'm in
Okay.
both. Yes.
I'm in. Let's
Okay.
do it.
Yeah. What's your favorite Def Leppard song?
You're gonna make fun of me first, and you showed me
What?
photographs of Jam.
Yeah, listen, I like Def Leppard. I can't make fun of it. It's fine.
I mean,
I
it's
like
a little like it's
Hysteria.
not a deep cut, but I really
No,
like it.
I like Two Steps Behind.
Okay, yeah,
Particularly the acoustic version.
yeah.
Brian, what's your favorite Def Leppard song?
Do you think Def Leppard is on my playlist?
Well, it ought to be.
Yeah.
It should be.
It
It should be.
It really should be.
Life's better with that.
Yeah, well,
it is.
Well, I'm sure there's one out there. I will enlighten
You would
later.
like the album Hysteria. It's a solid album.
Okay.
It
Just
is.
banger after banger.
Okay.
That's enough. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that right there is the
Maybe
note
me
that
and
we're
Bailey
getting
should,
on.
in our podcast network, Empire, me and Bailey can do a Def Leppard podcast.
Yeah,
yeah,
go,
yeah,
go,
let's
go
do
to
it.
town.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. I would support it. I just won't listen to Def Leppard, so I won't get it, but it'll be very good, I'm sure.
If you want to deny yourself joy, that's your
I'm telling
business.
you say I don't have joy. Look how happy Def Leppard makes me.
It's just radiant. I love it. Yeah. It's excellent. Very good. All right. Though I do want to say though before we close, just briefly, because I'm the token woman and I have to say it. It's interesting to me how women that are forced to do something that they don't want to do are then also villainized.
Mhm.
And I wonder how often that has happened in our church's history. And I wonder too how the nuns of the Ursuline convent had to rebuild over rumors, right? Over things that were designed to limit their ministry and limit their reach within the city. And I wonder how long that process took. I wonder why they were made voiceless when they had the literal job and position to be a voice. So anyway, food for thought. That's my fun little positive note to end on.
Well, while you were giving us the positive note, I was Googling Def Leppard songs to see which ones resonated with me.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Armageddon.
This
Armageddon.
is actually Hookah Shell Bryan saying this
Yeah.
one. Pour some sugar on me.
It's a
Here
good
we
one.
go.
You know that song? That's a great song.
You know that
Great
song,
song.
you said? I didn't know that was Def Leppard. I know that
Yeah.
song.
It's good.
So there you go. There's my
well,
song.
It's good, you think?
It's
Pretty
great.
good. Yeah.
Yes.
You think
It's
that's a good song?
It's a little cheesy. It's a little cheesy.
Roll the window down in the car and sing
Yeah.
it. Yes.
The
let's
problem
go.
with it is not that it's bad. It's that it's because it's like really heavily used and pretty like arguably overplayed
I
It
agree.
that
is.
you get kind of like jaded to. It's like, yeah, it's pour sugar on me, whatever.
Is that the one that starts with Goopa Gleeten?
Glinta glinta glauta globen,
Is
or whatever
that-
the German
yeah,
thing
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought that was it.
What?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Listen to the song and you will
Yeah.
understand.
That's right.
Well, you know what Mother Teresa's favorite band is?
Oh, do tell.
A Def Leppard.
Ah,
That's solid. That's solid.
That's all right.
That's solid.
Woo! Okay, I'm good. That's as good as I'm gonna
That's a
get.
good one.
That was a good one. Thank you. I think that's definitely going to be the note that we end on. Shout out to, again, I want to give credit to Thomas and Sarah for the use of the
Yeah.
podcast theme. They did such a
Yes.
great job. Thank you guys so much for that. You can find us on our socials at Methodist to the Madness. We are on Facebook and Instagram, and we also have
And
what is it?
We're working on a website as well.
Andy's working on a website for us. I'm sure it'll be glorious when it's done. You can find our episodes on iTunes and Spotify and Buzzsprout. right? Anywhere
Yep.
else?
I
Nope.
think that's
That's
it. Yeah.
That's what. Yep.
Very good. All right, friends. Remember that you're loved, you matter, and as the great theologian Katharine Hepburn once said, life is hard. After all, it does kill you. Bye.
See ya.
And then you go to hell.
You die and go to hell. Yeah.